Before we begin, if you're brave enough to keep listening, hit subscribe now, because every day I bring you true horror stories they don't want you to hear. Stories that don't end when the video does. You ready? Let's begin. I've never really liked the ocean. Ironic, I know, considering I've spent the last 6 years working deep inside cruise liners, buried in the heart of the ship, far from sunlight or sea breeze. They call us the shadow crew, the ones who keep everything running while the guest party up top. I was an engine technician stationed on Deck Zero, the literal bottom of the ship. No view, no natural light, just steel, heat, and noise. But this ship, the Sea Leviathan, was different. It wasn't just big, it was too big, like it had been built to carry something more than passengers. The moment I stepped on board, I felt it. A pressure, not like claustrophobia, more like the ship was alive, and it was watching me. I got assigned to Generator Room C, the farthest room from the main core. It wasn't even on the digital blueprint. My supervisor, Davis, handed me a printed map, dog-eared and coffee-stained. "Why not digital?" I asked. He didn't look up, just muttered, "Some things don't transfer well." It was the way he said it that made me pause. I thought I misheard, but no, he meant it exactly how it sounded. The first week went as expected. Routine checks, oil tests, cooling flushes. But then, on day 6, during the midnight shift, I noticed something wrong. The wall-mounted meters were ticking backward. Voltage meters, RPM gauges, running in reverse like time had rewound. I tapped them. Nothing changed. I shut the panel, walked around the main turbine, and that's when I saw it. A journal, lying in the corner, pages yellowed and curled. It hadn't been there before. On the cover, Engine Room Diary, entry 47. No name, no date, just the number. I opened it. They don't hear it, but I do. A thumping below the turbines, like a second heartbeat. It's not mechanical. It's alive. Entry 31. The floor shifted today, like something turned beneath the ship. I think the ocean isn't outside. I think it's leaking in. Entry 47. I sealed the hatch. I'm not going back down there. They can burn me alive before I return to Subdeck 0B. That place isn't part of the ship. It's older. The page ended there. I flipped ahead. All the other pages were blank. I tried to laugh it off. Someone messing with me. But then I went back to Generator C the next night, and the journal was gone. In its place was a bolt, thick, rusted, and covered in blood. I reported it to Davis. He didn't even flinch. Just asked, "Did you touch the door?" I froze. "What door?" He nodded toward the far corner of Generator C. "There's no door there," I said. He looked at me with eyes so hollow, I forgot how to breathe. "There will be, if you stay long enough." Curiosity eventually won. I snuck into the camera archive. Most of the ship's surveillance systems are locked down, but Davis's password was predictable, God depths 99. I scrubbed through footage of Generator C. Most of it was normal, until the clip from 3 nights ago. The video showed me walking into the room and standing still. For over an hour, I never moved, never blinked. Then the camera glitched. Briefly, when it came back, there were 2 of me. One still frozen by the generator. The other stepping toward the wall, toward a door that wasn't there. Things stopped making sense after that. Lights flickered in patterns. Morse code spelling out words like below and IT wakes. Water leaked from pipes that weren't connected to anything. And worst of all, my reflection started lagging. It would turn its head a second too late. Smile when I wasn't smiling. Then Davis disappeared. Just gone. His bunk untouched. Locker still locked. I found a torn piece of his jumpsuit wedged between 2 floor panels in Generator C. I lifted the panel. Beneath it, a ladder. Iron. Old. Slick with seawater. It went down. To Subdeck 0B. The place from entry. I climbed down. The air was heavy. The walls curved. Not built like the rest of the ship. They felt organic. And there, at the bottom, stood a massive metal door. Circular. Covered in barnacles. Breathing. Yes, breathing. The journal was right. This place wasn't part of the Sea Leviathan. It was older. It was alive. I pressed my hand to the door, and it opened. Inside was black water, still unmoving. Floating on its surface, crew uniforms, tools, old journals, and a single eye, the size of a car, blinking from beneath the surface. It looked at me, and then I heard it. A voice, not in my ears but in my bones. You keep it running. You feed it. You're the oil. You're the heartbeat. I don't remember how I got back. I woke up in the infirmary, salt crusted in my nose and ears. No one believed me. The ladder was gone. Generator C had been welded shut. But the journal, entry 47, was under my pillow. I left the ship after that. Took the long way home. Tried to burn the journal. It doesn't burn. Sometimes late at night, I hear the engine again, pounding like a pulse. And sometimes it skips a beat, like it's waiting for me, because I touched the door. And now, part of me is still down there. You'd think the worst place to be on a luxury cruise liner is stuck in line for the buffet or getting splashed at the pool bar. But no, the worst place, the real horror, is 3 deck below all that. Down where the light doesn't quite reach, where even the air feels forgotten. That's where I worked. I was assigned to Deck 3 maintenance. Think of it like the basement of the ship, concrete walls, emergency pipes, spare linen stacked to the ceiling. No windows, no vistas, just noise and cold air. I took the job because I needed it. The money was decent, and I figured 6 months at sea might help me reset after the last 2 years of hell. Divorce, debt, depression, you name it. So I signed a contract, took the bunk, and tried to be invisible. The weird thing started on day 5. I was walking through section 3B, hauling a replacement valve for one of the emergency ballast tanks. It was past 1 a.m. The lights flickered. Nothing new. That hallway always felt too dark. My boots echoed on the steel floor like I was in a tomb. And then I heard it. Knocking. 3 knocks. Slow. Heavy. I stopped. The hallway stretched ahead, empty. Then again, 3 knocks. This time behind me. I turned around. Nothing. The sound wasn't metallic. It was wooden, like someone rapping on an old door. But there were no wood panels on deck 3. Everything was steel, plastic, or sealed composite. I chalked it up to pipe pressure or echo bounce. Ships creak. Ships hum. They breathe like living things. You learn not to panic. I kept walking. But the next night, it happened again. Same corridor. Same time. Same knocks. By day 8, I couldn't ignore it. I sat in the crew mess across from Alonzo, a wiry guy from Honduras who'd worked ships for 8 years. You ever hear knocking down on 3B? I asked. He stopped chewing. You hear it too? He asked quietly. I blinked. What do you mean to? Alonzo leaned in. His voice dropped. They say there's a door sealed behind panel 42. Way back, past the overflow storage. I frowned. What kind of door? He glanced around, then said, Old, wooden, ship door, like from a different time, like for before this ship was even built. I laughed. You're messing with me. He didn't laugh back. There was an accident. 5 years ago, one of the welders went missing. They say he vanished near that panel. Just never came back. Was he found? Nope. But 2 weeks later, another guy quit. Said he saw someone walk into the wall, like it opened for them. I felt my blood run cold. Why doesn't anyone report it? He shrugged. People do. Nothing happens. Reports vanish. Supervisors act confused. And the knocking keeps coming. On day 10, I couldn't resist. I went back to 3B. I found panel 42. It looked like any other part of the wall, bolted down, slightly rusted. But the air near it was colder. The steel felt off. Too smooth. Then I heard it again. Knock, knock, knock. But this time, something new followed. A faint whisper. Let me in. I stepped back. My hand shook. I reached for my radio. Static. Then the lights blew out. Total darkness swallowed me. I was blind, frozen in place. Then, something brushed past my arm. Cold, slimy. And then the lights snapped back on. I was alone. But the panel looked different. Now it had a faint outline, like a door frame beneath the surface. And in the dust on the floor, footprints. Border, vet, leading away. The next morning, I told my supervisor, Gina. She looked tired, too tired for someone running the day shift. She nodded almost absently. Don't go back down there. That was it. No report, no security check. She looked me in the eye. Some things on the ship aren't ours to fix. I didn't know what that meant. Not yet. That night, I went to wash up before bed. I turned on the faucet. The mirror above the sink fogged slightly. And then I saw it. A face. Behind me. Eyes gray hollow. Lips cracked, purple. Wearing an old ship's uniform from another era. I spun around. Nothing. The mirror cleared. Gone. That night, I dreamed I was walking down 3B. The lights were red, flashing. Alarms in the distance. And that door, panel 42, stood open. Inside, stairs. Going down. Far below the ship. Below the waterline. Below the seabed. And I walked down, unable to stop myself. The deeper I went, the louder I heard it. Screaming, dozens of voices. Some calling for help. Others laughing. And then, silence. I woke up choking on seawater. But my bed was dry. I had to end it. I returned to 3B one last time, armed with a crowbar and a flashlight. I pried at panel 42. It groaned, then popped free. Behind it would, old, rotted, a real door, just like Alonzo said. It had a brass handle, rusted shut. I didn't want to open it. God knows I didn't. But as I turned to leave, it opened on its own. Darkness. Steps. Cold air rushed out. Then a voice. We remember you. That's when I ran. I didn't stop. Not until I reached the upper decks. Not until I heard laughter behind me that faded into water dripping. I left the ship the next morning. Didn't say goodbye. Didn't sign out. Just walked down the gangway like a ghost. People smiled at me. Kids waved. They didn't know what lived down there. What still knocks. Every night, waiting for a new hand to open the door. They say the sea keeps its secrets. But on this ship, the sea doesn't have to hide. It has a door. And every now and then, someone answers. I grabbed the railing to keep from sliding on the wet deck. The storm was pushing hard, waves slapping against the hull with dull, distant thuds. My jacket whipped against me like it was trying to escape. Moments later, Victor and 2 more security guards appeared, rushing toward us. Rebecca clutched her son, shaking him lightly, like she could restart a stalled heart with her hands. Aiden wouldn't meet her eyes. His face was pale, too pale, and his lips were a grayish blue. Marta radioed in a description of the stranger Aiden had encountered. Male, around 6 feet 2 inches, dressed in all black. Unknown nationality. Security fanned out immediately, covering each stairwell, each possible escape route. Rebecca and I guided Aiden through the solarium doors and into the warm stillness inside. Wind gusts slammed shut the door behind us. His trembling was constant, violent. The zipper on his hoodie clicked over and over against itself like tiny teeth chattering. We found a quiet corner near the towel stand. It was dim there, tucked away from the floodlights and glass ceiling above. I crouched down, touched his hand, it was ice cold. Aiden, I said gently. What happened? He didn't respond at first, just stared at the floor, lips tight, like he was chewing on a memory he couldn't swallow. Then, finally, in a voice so soft we had to lean in to hear it, he spoke. He said, "The view is better at night," Aiden murmured. Said nobody comes up here after midnight. I asked the obvious next question. Did he touch you? Aiden shook his head. No, he just talked. Asked where I lived, what grade I was in, if I liked movies. I felt Rebecca's grip tighten on the towel wrapped around his shoulders. I told him I should go. Aiden continued. He said, wait, just one more minute. His voice cracked. He kept looking around like he was waiting for someone else. Rebecca closed her eyes. Did he tell you his name? Aiden shook his head again. Did he try to get you to walk with him? There was a long pause, then a tiny nod. He said we could go down to deck 4. Said there's a door to the crew deck, right above the water. Said it feels like flying when you sit there. Aiden's fists clenched. His knuckles went white. I got scared, he whispered. Then you yelled. He left. Security never found the man in black. They pulled CCTV footage. It showed the man and Aiden stepping onto deck 16 at 12:58 a.m., leaning casually against the forward railing. The man kept his face hidden, his cap tilted forward just enough to defeat every angle. At 2:37, the cameras caught him descending the starboard stairwell. 2 decks down, Another camera saw a blurry figure move aft, but that was the last of him. He vanished into the belly of the ship. No one with his description had a registered cabin. He used no key card. He wasn't crew. His clothes didn't match any department. Victor, the head of security, admitted something quietly later. Sometimes passengers sneak extra people aboard in port, paying off crew to look the other way. It's rare, especially on a ship this size, but not impossible. The report was logged as suspicious person. Outcome, undetermined. Aiden refused to leave the cabin after that. For the rest of the cruise, 30 long hours, he curled up on the bottom bunk. He didn't cry, didn't talk. Just watch movies with subtitles, earbuds in, blanket up to his chin. Rebecca ordered room service, kept the curtains shut. Rick tried to act calm, made jokes about teenage hormones, late-night drama. But every laugh came out cracked and empty, like he was reading off a cue card that said, "Try to be normal." I kept busy, gratuities, customs forms, disembarkation tags. Anything to keep my hands from shaking. When Wonder of the Seas docked in Port Canaveral on Friday morning, the sky was painfully bright. The world outside looked unchanged. Sun, concrete, shuttles, smiling port workers. It felt wrong. Inside the ship's theater, passengers clustered by luggage tags, waiting for their color group to be called. The same families that cheered to sail away now juggled duty-free bags and paper flags, already dreaming about the next vacation. Rebecca hugged me tightly. "Thank you," she whispered, "for staying calm." She promised me a week off once we caught up on emails. Aiden barely looked up. He mumbled goodbye, eyes still glued to his phone. We rolled our suitcases down a gangway. Crew smiled at us, polite and unaware of the nightmare hiding in our story. A nightmare that had walked among them, wearing black. Outside, beside a giant anchor statue, families posed for photos. Kids shrieked, seagulls circled, and behind us, the ship loomed, balconies stacked like honeycomb, glittering in the sun. But somewhere in its shadows, maybe in a dead zone between cameras, maybe in an unlocked maintenance hatch, someone might still be hiding, waiting for the next cruise, the next curious teenager. Most passengers will never know. They'll dance at sail away, eat at the buffet, sleep under the glow of hallway lights and the hush of air conditioning. They'll trust the key cards, the locks, the lifeboat drills. But I still hear the wind-up on that forward deck. Still feel the bite of the cold railing under my palm. On a ship, freedom and danger live side by side. And all that separates you from either is a rail just waist high and a moment of darkness where anything, anyone can wait. Some stories end in silence. Others never really end at all. If this one stayed with you, if it made you look over your shoulder, then don't leave just yet. Subscribe to hear what else they're not telling you, because the next story might be even closer than you think. If you're visiting our channel for the first time, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell icon to stay updated with our upcoming scary stories.